the 832 3rd Avenue West.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions for the applicant? Thank you very much. Any further discussion, Commissioners? If not, I would look for a motion to approve or decline.
Mr. Chairman.
Sorry. Let's hold that thought for a second here. We do need to have a public hearing regarding this special use permit, so at this time we will open the public hearing. If anybody in the audience has any comments or concerns regarding this special use permit, please step forward to the podium, or you can call into 701-456-7006.
The conference is currently empty. You will hear silence or music on hold when connected.
Once again, if there's anybody in the public or online that has any comments or concerns regarding this special use permit for a group daycare, please step forward.
Mr. Chairman, while we're waiting, just a couple things. That on the site map, that square in yellow,
Yeah.
what is that referencing?
That is the extra parking slash employee parking.
Okay, so parking is mostly from the alley.
Parking,
Drop off and
drop off is both front and back, depending on how busy it is and what's going on. So yeah, it's kind of an overflow area because of 3rd Avenue.
I'm just trying to think. Drop off at 7:45.
Busy times. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, one more time. Anybody in the audience or online has any comments or concerns regarding this special use permit? Seeing or hearing no comments, we will close the public hearing. Commissioners, what are your wishes?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Bullinger.
I move the City of Dickinson Planning and Zoning Commission recommend approval of the petition for a special use permit SUP-002-21 for a group daycare subject to any appropriate conditions required by the Commission as meeting all the requirements and intent of the Dickinson Municipal Code and also being in the interest of public health, safety, and welfare.
Second. We have a motion and a second by Mr. Franchuk. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, we will move on to item 2 on our agenda. This is a final plat, FLP-007-2021. This is to consider a preliminary / final plat for Riverfront Estates 3rd Edition. The proposal consists of a total of 17 residential lots on 12.04 acres and is located within the Riverfront Estates 2nd Edition in the northwest quarter, Section 10, Township 139, Range 96 West, just south of River Drive within the City of Dickinson, Stark County, North Dakota. Mr. Hadley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, the additional is it's a replat of Riverfront 2nd is the actual request. Staff has worked with the applicant on this application, and the development agreement that you do have in your OneNote is the final version, so I would like to amend my staff report to strike conditions A through G at this time. And then the applicant wants to address the number of lots proposed. Right now it's 17, and they want to reduce that. And the commission can approve a lesser number of lots if the commission so desires. So with that, I'd kind of like the applicant to review what the proposal is and what they're doing and why they're doing it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hadley. Morning, Mr. Schrank.
Morning, Commissioners. Andrew Schrank with Highlands Engineering, representing the applicant for this parcel. As Mr. Hadley alluded to, there has been kind of a late change here on the plat. After some discussions with the neighboring property owners, the developer here actually met with them a couple days ago and talked through development with them, and they were generally on board but requested one less lot within the development. So I'm not sure which version you have in front of you, but the most recent version, if the large lot on the south is lot 16, that's the version that we want to bring forward. So basically what we had changed, instead of 16 lots along River Drive, we've reduced that by 1 at the request of the neighboring property owners and gone to 15 lots along River Drive. Essentially, that just makes some larger lots that'll probably promote a little higher end development is what they were hoping to accomplish there. So I think it's a good change overall for the neighbors and the city on that. As was indicated, this is a replat of a previous 12-acre parcel that was part of Riverfront Estates Second Edition. This was one large parcel in that plat, and we are now subdividing it into the 16 lots that we discussed. 15 of those will front along River Drive, gain access from River Drive, and there's one larger lot to the south. At this time, just planned to consist of one single-family residence. That would be lot 16 on the south. And that lot could either gain access from River Drive through a 20-foot connection that's provided on the plat, or it could come from the portion of 5th Street to the south that's currently constructed. There is a non-access line along 6th Avenue Southeast. That will prevent any connections, vehicular access onto 6th Avenue Southeast, since that is a major arterial in the city's comprehensive plan. Water and sewer mains are already provided along River Drive, so that infrastructure is in place. However, there are no services provided since this was previously one large lot. So the developer will be installing water and sewer services to connect to the existing mains in River Drive. So there'll be about 8 street cuts for the sewer. The sewer is actually in the roadway. To reduce those cuts and limit the impacts, they're actually planning to provide those services along common property lines. So they'll do one cut in the street for two lots to help limit the impacts of to River Drive there. And then the water is actually on the south side of the road, so they're not planning to have to get into the road to make the water connections. We do have some drainage easements provided to convey runoff along the back of these lots out to an existing stormwater pond that's provided actually just north of River Drive along 6th Avenue. That was put in by the previous development. And after reviewing their plan and their stormwater report, we had found that this is sufficiently accounted for in that plan, so no improvements should be required for stormwater management. The developer here is a local, very reputable developer. He's ready to start construction as soon as we get approval on this, so this should start going quick, and it's going to be a great development for the city, in our opinion. And with the changes Walter had to the staff report to strike those first conditions, I think we're agreeable to all the staff report conditions there. So if you have any questions, I'd stand for any questions.
Mr. Schrank, I don't know if you mentioned, but you are agreeable with the development agreement that has been passed back and forth last.
Correct, yes. There was some late changes there on the development agreement as well, requested by staff. I believe we've addressed all of staff's concerns, and all of staff's conditions were agreeable to the developer as well. So the version that was submitted, I believe it was yesterday, is agreeable to the developer.
Commissioners, the items in your packet should be the latest as far as the development agreement, and staff has vetted the latest version and we're in agreement. We've also reviewed the revised plat with the 16 lots and have no additional comments for that.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Marshak. Commissioners, do you have any questions?
Mr. Chairman, is there a public hearing on this also?
There will be, yes.
Mr. Chairman, just one point of clarification. The conditions, is the recommendation to drop those, or have they been satisfied?
They've been satisfied.
Okay.
They're within, what typically happens is, before we have a final development agreement, I will include some conditions of approval, and if they've been satisfied in the DA, which is our goal, we're trying to take those to where they go hand in hand, then those conditions can go away because it's a little bit like.
Got it.
And they've been met.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Commissioners, for the applicant? Okay, thank you, Mr. Schrank.
Thank you.
This will be a public hearing regarding this, so at this time we will open the public hearing for the final plat FLP-007-2021 for River Estates. Anyone with any comments or concerns, please step forward.
Good morning. My name is Tim Lance. I'm a resident on River Drive. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners.
Good morning.
I do want to thank Venture Homes, the contractor, the developer of this property. They did meet with us on Monday night to look at reducing those lots. We appreciate their effort in doing that, and we certainly agree with what they've proposed at this point. The only concern that the residents now on River Drive have is the finished road from 5th River Drive all the way going out to 6th Street Southeast. That road, excuse me, when I bought our property, the original developer, and forgive me, I can't remember who that was, their proposal to the city was they were going to redo River Drive, and they were also going to finish 5th Street all the way out to 6th. The intent was, as they sold property, that they would finish that road. In fact, they were supposed to finish 5th before they finished River Drive to help deter a lot of that traffic off of River Drive. That never happened. 5th still remains uncompleted. We're seeing large amounts of traffic on our road, and not only the volume of traffic, but the speed of traffic is insane. What I would like to see happen, kind of in conjunction with this property being developed, is 5th Street to be completed to eliminate a lot of that traffic on this road. As they continue to build homes on River Drive, you're going to see more families out there. You're going to have more vehicles on the road. The volume of traffic and the speed of that traffic coming that road is going to be probably a deterrent for some of the families. I know, speaking with Venture, they've already had one family that has chosen not to buy property on there because of the traffic that comes down River Drive. So while we are speaking on behalf of the other residents on River Drive, we are in approval of the plans moving forward for the property, the lots being built, but we would like the commissioners to take into consideration the possibility at some point here in the near future of doing something about finishing 5th. So I don't know if anybody has any questions on that.
Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Lance? Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Yep. Once again, this is a public hearing. Anybody with questions or concerns regarding this final plat, please step forward or call into 456-7006. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Alec Johnson. I'm also a resident on River Drive. Basically, to echo on what Tim said, I think that we are all now in approval of what is planned for the development. I think the 15 lots will be a nice size lots on the street. These will all be front yards on River Drive, and so I also have the concern of the amount of traffic that is coming through, and I would also request that the city look to at least consider finishing that portion of 5th off to alleviate some of the commuter traffic that is coming through. It's all pass-through traffic. It's people that do not care to be on that road, want to be through it, and want to be done. And 5th, if we would continue it through, is mostly side yard properties or a rear yard property that you're driving past, not someone's front yard, which is what the case is with all of the properties that are going to be currently on River Drive and that will continue to be built on River Drive. I do see it as a safety concern, and I think that 5th could really alleviate some of that problem if we would connect that through. So I just ask for that consideration if this is something that you're looking to approve, which I do think would be beneficial for the town. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, Commissioners, for Mr. Johnson? Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Once again, any other comments or concerns regarding this final plat during the public hearing, please step forward. Or you can call into 456-7006.
Mr. Hadley, is there any, on 5th Street, do we have a plan to finish that soon? Is there?
There's no plans from the city, I don't believe. I mean, I'll have City Engineer Marshik maybe address that, but this was another example of roadways that were platted at a time when the city didn't require some of those to be improved, and it not necessarily had anything to do with riverfront estates, I don't believe, but it's obviously a right-of-way that is incomplete at this time. There's also a number of right-of-ways just south of there that in the Highlands addition that are also not complete at this point. So, Loretta, I don't know if you have anything else to add.
Typically, we would move forward with construction of the street as development would move forward. property development along Fifth. We had some discussion about extending that with this project, but with the single property, single home residence on the north side of Fifth, the stipulation that was agreed to in the DA was that as long as that remains a single-family residence, they wouldn't be required to participate in that. However, if that property would ever split and develop, then they would be required to bring that roadway forward.
And you're speaking of lot 16 now?
Correct.
And I believe there's no access from that lot onto that right-of-way either.
It looks like
That is correct. There's no other access onto 6th or 5th, so that access is onto River Drive for that lot 16. But if that would develop in the future, we would be required to add in 5th as part of the agreement known as the development.
Would the applicant like to make any comments regarding this?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, again, Andrew Schrank with Highlands Engineering. As Loretta had stated, we did discuss this extensively in our initial meetings for the development. If you look at 5th Street, it's really not providing a benefit to this development the way it's laid out. The access for this development is going to be on River Drive. The issues that are being brought forward are issues today. They're not stemmed and tied to this development. If you look into the city's comprehensive plan, 5th Street is actually a collector route, so it's serving a larger community than just Riverfront 3rd Edition that we're providing here. So we would ask that it's not tied to this development, as it's really not providing a benefit to this development. If the city so chooses to construct that road, or if, as stated, if Lot 16 further develops and that is gaining access from that road, development to the south takes place, in our opinion, that would be the time to address that route.
Thank you, Mr. Schrank.
Thank you.
One last time, anybody in the public have any comments or concerns, please step forward.
Good morning, Alec Johnson again. Just one last thing to say about the development of 5th, and I do think, as Andrew has stated, that it is a separate item from what Mr. Glosser is trying to do here, but I think that the development of 5th Street would promote the future development of the open lots that are located currently to the south of 5th Street. So, I mean, we're talking about, there's some comments here about waiting to finish that road off until the lots or the open field below is more developed. Well, I feel like if 5th Street ran through, that would help promote the development of that empty field south of 5th. So something to keep into consideration, that it might kind of, spur some growth to the south if that road was finished as well. Because then there would be a point of connection for some of the north-south roads that would empty onto 5th. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Okay, seeing nobody else stepping forward, we will close the public hearing. Commissioners, any questions for the applicant or comments?
No, Mr. Chairman, I just had a lot of comments made about it is going to be a very busy, River Drive will be very busy with all the new homes all coming out on the same. So in the future, what are we talking about future? Is it next year, 10 years, 5 years for 5th Street to be added or finished there, but it's not finished?
Typically, a roadway like that would move forward when development came forward. The developer bears that cost. If there's an appetite for the city to construct that road, that would be something that staff could be directed to look at. But we, in our process, will normally come forward and do that construction. That is a developer expense. So it is not on our future project list at this time.
And Commissioner, if development was to happen south in the Highlands, proposed development, they'd have to put water, sewer, the roadways in for that. It also, since that was probably what it was tied to initially, most definitely that's what it would be tied to as far as the development of that particular area. And whether the city would participate at that point in time is up to the Planning Commission, City Commission. So I would echo that this particular access doesn't directly affect, yes, Riverview Drive will be much busier than it is now with 16 additional lots on it. It's always been used as a little bit of a cutoff even before it was improved. So I would say that, you know, if there's an appetite to include it as a CIP project, then the Commission can recommend to the City Commission that would be included sometime in the future.
So, Mr. Hadley, if Highlands developed it, it would be their responsibility then to put that road in?
Yes.
To finish it?
Yes. Because I think that's when it was platted.
But we can make a recommendation that it should be finished.
But
To the City Commission.
You could, off of this. I mean, you can make a recommendation that the City Commission consider it as a future CIP project.
Okay, thank
So
you.
that, so if that development to the south would develop, all the burden of the expense of that road would fall on that developer? Even though half of this other lot is, half of the road is on?
If, as Ms. Marshak said, if development on that lot then benefited from it, right now there's a no access easement on it. So there's no access for that particular lot. They're accessing off of Riverview Drive. So there's a more intensive use, then yes, they would have to participate with the development of that road. It's a problem in that the road should be there today. And so we're backtracking and trying to figure out how and when and what the most effective way is to put it back, to put it in, as it should have been put in when Highlands development was put in. There's not a perfect answer.
I'm still not clear on that, Mr. Hadley. They'd have to participate, you said, in the, but would they be 100% responsible for that road?
That would be up to staff's recommendation to you. So then you could also make a recommendation to the City Commission when that area is developed to amend that.
We run into these areas a lot. And what happens is everybody looks to the city to finish it then.
Like I said, unfortunately, the road should have been there, water sewer should have been there, it should be completed. And today, we can't.
Why, and we don't know why it wasn't?
I'm assuming that we didn't have a development agreement process and we didn't follow up with some of the items that we follow up today with.
I mean, Riverview Estates would have been during the oil boom, the stuff to the south, so I would imagine we had our processes like we use now.
And 5th Street is a direct access to 6th Avenue, which I see, and River Drive is actually a bypass to 6th Avenue. It's kind of confusing when you go there, you know, you think you're going to head straight to 6th, then you got to take a left and go around.
Right.
Mr. Chairman, I need one more clarification. So they are doing 16 lots or 15 lots, as Hope mentioned?
Would be 15, and then this would be 16, the big one.
Okay.
Access to lot 16 is that middle.
Yeah, that little. Anyone else have any thoughts or comments?
I'm just not sure how we can tie this to the development of that road to this existing development agreement. Like you said, that's not their access, and it really doesn't affect them in any way.
I think without the city completing that road, that your development of Highlands is going to be pipe dream. I think that needs to be cleaned up.
Not sure what weight it carries with us making a recommendation to the city that needs to be part of the CIP, you said. I don't know how much weight we carry with that, but I would definitely like to see that.
I do think you have quite a bit of pull with the city commission from the standpoint of recommendations on developments, and this will be part of your development recommendation.
Commissioners, just to add to that, Commissioner Frederick had made a comment that we have multiple locations within our community that are in this same situation, and so staff is aware of that and has been working to discuss ways to address these issues so that we're treating everybody the same, all these properties the same. And it might be that that's how we move forward in this case, is come up with a policy on how we're going to address these outlying roadways. We also have properties where the property's been sold along roadways that have not been built. And so trying to get buy-in from a single owner doesn't work anymore. And you come up with a policy or a process that we can treat everybody the same is a goal for us on those kinds of properties. I don't know if that helps with your recommendation, but this just isn't one case that we need to clean up.
I mean, being devil's advocate, if somebody to the south buys that property and we tell them they have to put in Fifth because it benefits them more, they're going to argue, well, half that road doesn't even, they're not going to want to pay for it all. And then we're going to be stuck in the middle of it as a city.
We are, but unfortunately, Mr. Chairman, we're stuck in it anyway from the standpoint of, we didn't require it to be completed when that plat was reported. So, the city is going to be involved one way or another, whether it be by direction or involvement with city CIP funds to help move it forward. So maybe there'd be some incentives at that time for a development person that would want to develop the Highlands. Very similar to Diamond Acres that we went through a number of months ago to vacate that plat. That was an entire plat that was full of roadways that were never completed. I wish we could change that. I wish I could change it, but we can't.
Mrs. Marshall, do we know exactly how many of these exist in the city? Would that be something we could get so we could see how big of a problem this is? I understand what you're saying, that we can't do something for one and then we'll have 20 others come in and say, well, you did it here, you got to finish ours as well.
Yeah, I think it's something the staff can pull together so that you have a better understanding of how many or how few we actually are looking at.
I think we should look at that, and then like you're proposing, come up with some sort of fair treatment so that they have an opportunity, and I don't know what that will be, but we need to look at it as a whole.
Yeah.
The concern I'm having is if they sell that lot 16 to one single user, they will totally be off the hook from anything on Fifth.
I would say yes, the way that the agreement has been put together, because it's a single resident at this time.
Mr. Schrank.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I wouldn't say lot 16 is totally off the hook. If you read the development agreement, it indicates that if that lot ever changes from what it is today, they need to enter into an agreement with the city on how Fifth Street is addressed. So it is in the development agreement. That lot is essentially a leftover parcel of what this developer wants to do. If they could they would just develop the 15 lots along River Drive and plat those lots, but we've replatted a larger lot here. So it's really just a remainder of what the previous developer had platted. It'll likely consist of one residence. Tying that street to this development is likely going to stop this development, to be honest. That street would likely not make this a profitable investment for this developer. If we're required to put that in, the owner to the south is now benefiting from this construction of this road as well, and that's not fair to this developer that he's putting in a road for a guy across the street to now have more valuable property and better access. With this being a collector, I think what needs to happen is, as Laura alluded to, a city policy on how collectors, arterials, half roads, all these things are handled, because as you guys have indicated, I mean, we've worked on numerous plats in the city. Anytime we're into collectors or arterials, it essentially stops the development because we can't afford to put them in with our prices out here, and they don't provide enough benefit to the development as far as access goes. You know, typically collectors, arterials, your limited access, your limited driveways on those roads, they're really meant to serve traffic through the community, not that specific development. So I think coming up with a policy of, you know, maybe it's a 50-50 cost share on collectors, maybe city pays for arterials, some sort of a policy like that in the future would be how to address these roads moving forward.
Mr. Chairman, I have one question for Mr. Schrank. Is there access to the backup, because that one lot is not going to be developed right now? How does the fire department get into the back of these lots? If, say, we have a fire, it's looking like a cul-de-sac to me right now. So.
Correct. Typically, they don't need to get to the back. They can reach up to 400 feet typically with their hose, so they'll sit on River Drive and come down the side yards if there's ever a fire in the back lots or anything like that. They did have a comment about lot 17. They may or may not be able to access that lot. However, that really depends. If somebody builds a residence on that lot, it depends where the residence is constructed. So to try to guess where a residence is and put fire hydrants and access and all that out there on that lot at this time would be a bit presumptive. We wouldn't know where that house is going to be to do that. So what we have recommended is when that lot comes forward for a building permit, let fire review it at that time to see what they need for access and fire. But as far as the 16 lots along River Drive, those would all be served for fire off of River Drive.
Okay, thank you.
Thoughts, everyone?
Well, Mr. Chairman, we certainly don't want to stop the development because these are going to be nice homes built in there versus what if somebody buys it or would develop a trailer park or something. We don't want to see that either, so.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion. I move the City of Dickinson Planning and Zoning Commission recommend approval of the final plat for the replat of Riverfront Estates 3rd Edition, Block 1, Lots 1 through 17 is depicted in Attachment A, as meeting all the requirements of the Dickinson Municipal Code and also being in the interest of public health, safety, and welfare. Within the following requirements, I'd like to see a recommendation to the City of Dickinson for 5th Street to be part of the CIP as soon as possible. And I believe that's it.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We will move on to our next item on the agenda for this morning is a code amendment, TAM-001-2021, to consider a proposed amendments to the City of Dickinson Municipal Code, Chapter 39, to address wireless telecommunication facilities in the public right-of-way. Mr. Josephson.
Good morning, Commissioners, Chairman Friedrich, Chairman Friedrich, Steve Josephson, planner. What you have before you is a proposed text amendment that covers locating telecommunication devices, telecommunication facilities within the public right-of-way. There have been a couple of workshops about this, but this is essentially, what's happened now is that especially in downtown areas, in order to expand 5G networks, the telecommunication companies have asked to locate their facilities in public right-of-way. Many times they're on city-owned structures like light poles, utility poles, city-owned buildings, and so on. This is a proposed amendment to the zoning ordinance that would cover that. Currently, it's not covered in our zoning ordinance. Many municipalities have this in place. In North Dakota, Fargo, Bismarck, Minot, and Williston have adopted similar ordinances, and the proposed code amendment that you have before you is modeled after one that the city of Bismarck adopted. I'll also tell you too that there are a number of things that are in this ordinance that are things that are rules from the Federal Communications Commission, especially regarding fees and the review process in terms of agreements between the city and the franchise and the franchise holder. So what you will find here is the proposed text amendment addresses the permit requirements, also general requirements for design standards and minimizing impacts on adjacent property owners. And you'll notice in here that there were some design standards that would address if they were either in historic areas or near building, either in the downtown area or buildings that were determined to be of historic value. Also, installation of the facilities upon existing structures, the attachment upon wireless communication facilities on city-owned structures, replacement or addition of city-owned structures, and in many cases, the companies will actually come up with poles that they would like to see installed within, the rights of way, and this covers the design for that. The kind of equipment and general indemnification. So anyway, we've gone over this, had workshops on this. This is the actual proposed text amendment, and staff recommends approval. And we're here to answer any questions you may have.
Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Josephson on this? Mr. Hadley, any additional comments?
No, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Mr. Josephson, do we have anybody in town that's currently looking at installing these?
I am not aware of that. I'm not aware that anybody so this is, we're getting ahead of this, We're getting ahead of this because it's probably going to happen.
If you go to Fargo and Grand Forks on the universities, they have them on their street lights all over the place.
Right, and in the past we've had, we've shared information with the Planning and Zoning Commission as to what these devices look like. They're small. They're about the size of a backpack or a pizza box. So yeah, as Chairman Friedrich was saying, you can go to those cities and see them.
All right, this is a public hearing. If you have no other questions for Mr. Josephson, we will open the public hearing regarding code amendment for the Municipal Chapter 39 addressing wireless telecommunications facilities in the public right-of-way. Anybody in the audience or online has any questions or concerns regarding this code amendment, please step forward. Morning.
Good morning. My name is Mickey Thompson. I have a question for Mr. Josephson. Has there been any health studies or anything like that done on the general public, like regarding these being up on, excuse me, I'm sorry, regarding these being up on streetlights and all around town? Has there been any studies regarding the effects of the radiation and the 5G in the public
I'm not aware of
Health.
any.
Not aware of any?
I'm not aware of any.
Okay, have you looked any up, or would the city consider doing some before this excuse me, I'm sorry, before this happens?
Well, at this time, I don't believe we have any applications to do any of these currently, do we?
As a resident of the city of Dickinson, that would be my main concern. I have a street light right in front of my house, and I have a right-of-way in the back of my house. So my main concern would be the health effects of this machinery going up near my home.
Mr. Chairman, if I could
Sure.
interject just
Mr. Hadley.
quickly. I believe the FCC has regulations that guide that.
Okay.
For this health and safety part of it. I don't know that the city can be involved in that. Maybe Ms. Malenko, or maybe we can go back and get that answer for sure. But I don't believe that we can deal with the health and safety issue. If FCC says they're approved apparatus, I believe that they are approved for health and safety and use.
Okay.
As proposed, so
Okay, and
that's the best answer that I have for you.
Mr. Josephson, you said that you had the FCC rules in the paperwork?
The ordinance reflects FCC, what the FCC said specifically about these small cell facilities.
Okay. All right, so I would
the
be able
placement- and the
to
placement
look up
of-
that information regarding the FCCs.
Yes, and I believe the FCC would regulate that, and we will verify it internally as well, but I'm pretty sure that's why we reference the FCC in that.
Okay, and would the surrounding home and property owners be notified before these go up at all?
Is this would this be a special use permit for them to install these?
This is administrative. This is administrative because it's in the city's rights of way, and I believe that was an FCC requirement. Now, if it was not in the city right of way, then I believe it would require conditional use permit.
There was a large push by the telecommunications folks to get these approved and get them allowed within the public rights of way, and so they won that battle. We can charge a fee, and we can review each location, whether it be for aesthetics or just proximity. If it's in an area where you don't want it, because of aesthetics, or it's in a downtown or a historic building or something like that. So they have succeeded in moving this forward, and that's why we wanted to address it
Absolutely,
relatively
yeah.
quickly.
And this is my first planning and zoning meeting, so, I'm glad you guys are giving me grace,
Yeah, no,
we're coming up in the middle of it.
Yep, we appreciate
But,
it.
yeah, and my next question is, like, are these gonna be eyesores? Are we gonna go downtown and see this machinery, like, up on our light posts and?
No, they're basically going to be banned from our decorative lighting, because I don't think they're going to be able to do that. They may be able to, but if they did, it would be a whip and then a box on the ground, on the sidewalk somewhere, that probably would be a decorative type thing.
Okay.
The regular street lights, it would be a pizza box, as Stephen noted, and an antenna, and then a box on the ground. So no,
Okay.
we've been pretty careful as far as adopting some sort of a standard that makes them appealing and not an eyesore. We have a number of streetlights that are eyesores, so yeah, we're trying to get out of that.
Right,
So,
like, you just upgraded the one that's outside of my house to LED, which is really nice, but I still don't want like a big old box
Yeah.
on it right in front of my home,
I mean,
so.
The way I understand it, they won this federally, right? And they were allowed to build these in the right of way.
Correct.
But cities were not prepared for this and had no say. They could just come and do them.
Right. that's
By
correct.
putting this in, at least we have a review process, and we can
Yes.
charge a fee and have some skin in the game. Otherwise, they could just come and put them wherever they want federally. They got that through. So that's my understanding of why we're changing this. Is that correct?
So now the city, it's in the city of Dickinson's court, is what you're saying?
Right. At least we'll be notified. We'll have some say on where they can put them.
They have to let us know they're going up.
Yeah, let us know they're going up. Otherwise, they could have just came and done it. So.
Okay.
So.
And would you guys let the homeowners around know as well, or no?
I mean, I think that is something we can consider, you know, if there's an application.
I would appreciate, like, just having the right of way behind my home and the street light right in front of my home as well. I would appreciate notification of that.
That was something we will consider and see if we can get that added to the ordinance. So.
Thank you.
Yep,
very much.
Thank you. Commissioners, well, I guess we're still in the public hearing phase. If there's anyone else has any comments regarding this code amendment on wireless telecommunications towers in public right-of-way, please step forward or call into 456-7006. Seeing or hearing none, I will close the public hearing. Commissioners, comments or concerns? Hearing none, I would look for a motion.
I don't believe there's a pre-written motion to approve this, Mr. Chair. Am I missing it in there?
I can't find it. No, my phone just went off.
I don't see one either. So I think we would just need I mean, this is just basically...
Code amendment?
It's just basically a motion to send to the city commission.
I'll make that motion to approve that code amendment, TAM 001-2021, the proposed amendment to the City Municipal Code, Chapter 39, to add address wireless communications facilities.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second by Mr. Bush. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, we will move on to item 4 on our action items this morning. We have another code amendment, TAM-002-2021, to consider proposed amendments to the City of Dickinson Municipal Code, Chapter 39, to address adult entertainment centers. Ms. Wanko, I think, is handling this one.
Correct. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, before you, you have a proposed amendment to Chapter 39 to address adult entertainment centers. The city recently received an application for one of these facilities. Upon reviewing that application, we realized that we had some inconsistencies with Chapter 39, the zoning code, as well as Chapter 3, which identifies and handles the administrative process for these types of facilities. Based on some very extensive Supreme Court case law and other various regulations, the city cannot prohibit these facilities, but the city does have the right to regulate them. And so what we are doing with these proposed amendments is to make it unequivocally clear that these types of facilities would be permitted in light industrial areas and general industrial areas by a special permit application. And when we did redraft this ordinance, we did review multiple municipalities' ordinances, Bismarck, Minot, Fargo, Williston, to get some consistency with what we're seeing in other communities, and these changes are consistent with other municipalities of similar size and demographic. So the city staff has reviewed, recommends approval, and I would stand for any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Wenko. Any questions regarding this proposed, I guess it's an amendment to the code, but it's to basically codify us with another chapter, so. No questions, anyone? Okay, at this time then we will open the public hearing regarding this. This is a public hearing to consider the code amendment to Chapter 39 to address adult entertainment centers. Anybody have any questions or concerns or public comments, please step forward or call into 456-7006. Anyone in the public have any comments or concerns? Hearing or seeing none, we will close the public hearing. Commissioners, what are your wishes?
I'll make a motion to approve the code amendment TAM-002-2021 to consider proposed amendments to the City of Dickinson Municipal Code Chapter 39 for the adult entertainment centers.
I second.
We have a motion and a second by Mr. Cordnoy. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We will move on to item 5 this morning is another code amendment. This is to consider proposed amendments to the City of Dickinson Municipal Code, Article 39.02, definitions regarding additional definitions related to adult entertainment centers and wireless telecommunication facilities in public right-of-way. Ms. Wenko.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, before you is the proposed amendment. This amendment incorporates the needed changes that we need to address additional definitions based on the passage of the wireless telecommunication facilities ordinance, as well as the adult entertainment centers. A lot of the definitions or the words that you see in that amendment currently do not exist in our zoning ordinance, so we have to adopt them so that we can use them for purposes moving forward for clarification when we go through these processes. So staff has reviewed, recommends approval, and I would stand for any questions.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Wenko. Any questions regarding this? I think attached are tablets or all the amendments, all the changes. Okay. Hearing none from the commission, I will open the public hearing regarding the code amendments to the City of Dickinson Municipal Code with regards to telecommunication facilities in adult entertainment centers in Dickinson. Anybody in the public or online have any questions or concerns regarding this code amendment? Is there someone there?
I have a question.
Sure. Can you state your name, please?
Carrie Roller. I'm wanting to know what your definition of an adult entertainment center is.
Adult bookstore. Ms. Wanko, maybe you want to touch on this?
Yep, I can pull up here in just a moment here. Adult entertainment currently is identified in the Chapter 3 of the city's code. It can include an adult entertainment center. It can include a bookstore. You know, we've recently had, if you've been a resident of Dickinson for long, Midget News was an adult entertainment center. So there's various parameters of what that does include. And again, the way that we have structured this, just so that the individual on the phone is aware, with the special application permit process, we are adopting through Chapter 3 a more specific and requirements of what an applicant has to go through to get a special application approval. We are looking at the possibility of having to go through background checking, which is some things that are required in other municipalities. So the way that it's currently drafted in Chapter 3, which is not before this commission, an adult entertainment center does encompass a variety of different facilities.
Ms. Roller, did you get that?
Yes, thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else in the public or on the telephone at 456-7006 have any questions or concerns regarding this code amendment? Okay, seeing or hearing none, we will close the public hearing. Commissioners, any questions or comments? If not, I would look for a motion to approve or deny this amendment.
I'll make a motion to approve the code amendment TAM-003-2021 to consider proposed amendments to the City of Dickinson Municipal Code Article 39-02, definitions regarding additional definitions related to adult entertainment centers and wireless telecommunication facilities in the public right-of-way.
We have a motion by Commissioner Dukart.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Karski. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, we will move on to our next item, which is on our agenda for this morning. This is public issues of concern not on the agenda. If anybody in the public or online at 456-7006 has anything they would like to discuss that was not on our agenda to this morning, they could step forward or call in. Anyone in the public has any issues of concern not on the agenda, please step forward. Seeing or hearing none, we will close that portion of the agenda and move on to the next item, item 5, items not on the agenda. Commissioners, if there's anything that was not on the agenda you'd like to bring up or discuss, this would be the time. Hearing none, we will move on to our item 6 for today, our work session, non-action items. Item 1 on that is our ETZ discussion. This is a discussion regarding expanding our extraterritorial zone to 4 miles. I believe Ms. Wanko is going to start that out.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I will lead that preliminary discussion. As you can see, over the last 10 years, the city of Dickinson has grown. We have recently received U.S. Census data that tells us that the current population for the city of Dickinson now exceeds 25,000 people. Pursuant to Chapter 40-47 of the Century Code, the city is allowed by ordinance to extend its application of the city's zoning regulations to an unincorporated territory, and in the event that that population exceeds 25,000 or more, that extraterritorial zone can be extended up to 4 miles. The purpose of that extension is to essentially coordinate land use and promote planning and orderly development and preservation of property values. It is enacted, that legislation was enacted to enable cities to plan for the orderly development of their adjacent fringe areas. This is a process. This is going to be a multi-step process. This is not something that's going to happen overnight. Pursuant to Century Code, there is a requirement that we have a joint transitional meeting. In this situation, that joint transitional meeting will occur with the representatives of Stark County. We have, this week, the city has given notice of that joint transitional meeting. That meeting will occur October 6th, 2021 at 7:10 a.m. at a special meeting with this board. I believe that notice has been sent to Stark County Commission. It has also been sent to Stark County Planning and Zoning, as well as the Stark County State's Attorney's Office. The purpose of that meeting, as set forth in the statute, is to review existing zoning rules, regulations, and restrictions currently in place in the territory to be extraterritorial zoned and to plan for an orderly transition. We envision that we are going to sit down with the county and have an open and productive dialogue as to what this transition process will look like. As of right now, there have been no final decisions made of any sort as to what this will result and end up looking like. We are hoping that at that October 6th meeting is where we're going to really discuss the meat and potatoes of what this is going to look like as far as any shared responsibilities or joint responsibilities that the city may have with the county. So we are looking forward to that meeting. We expect that there will be a public comment at that meeting. I think the city is prepared for that, as well as the county. And I'm hopeful that through that process and through that discussion, that the county and the city can mutually agree to work some sort of joint arrangement that's going to be in the best interest of not only the constituents for the county, but also the city. So we are, again, the city staff is preparing for that meeting. We anticipate that there will be a lot of county staff and commissioners there as well. We are open to any ideas and discussing what this is going to look like. But again, I just want to make it very clear to the public, there has been no final decision on any decisions with regard to the expansion of the ETZ. The purpose of this meeting here today is just to let this commission know that this is happening, that you are going to be sitting in a meeting on October 6th to discuss this. I would encourage each and every one of you to come forward, review the materials with ideas and proposals on what you think will work to make this better for not only the city but the county. So I would stand for any questions that anyone has, and then again, of course, October 6th is where we're really going to get into the meat and potatoes of this joint transition meeting.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions for Ms. Wanko regarding this ETZ discussion?
Mr. Chairman, just a point of order so you could, you do have some maps in your OneNote. They are on the wall for anybody that's in attendance here. The map on that side of the room is very preliminary, we just literally created it the last couple days, starting to work with complementary zoning designations in the county with city designations. That's on that map. This map just basically shows the boundary of where our existing ETZ is, and then the red, pink, orange shaded area on the outside would encompass the additional if it was a full 4 mile. The yellow on this map, which is interesting, are areas that are within our 2 mile now that we have not included. And so, you know, the process is, as Christina was saying, is to, as these properties, whatever we decide to bring into the city, if you remember a few years ago, we did some zoning upon ETZ parcels that Stephen was working on, and we would need to do that. So this is the precursor of working on that. We're literally identifying areas that are complementary to whatever the zoning is, or the character, or the use, or our infrastructure ability in those areas in the future, and then proposing some zoning designations that we can surely talk about with everybody that's involved and determine that's the direction we're going to go. This is the time to do that, not like we did the last time, which was after the fact, after we had established the ETZ. So you're welcome to look at those, and you do have them on OneNote. It's not quite as easy to see. I thought, thank you to Daryl and the engineering department for printing those out for us on short notice, but it gives you a snapshot. It's nothing final on any of those.
Okay. Any commissioners, any more questions, or just for the public, this joint zoning transitional meeting will be held here, I believe?
I believe it's been noticed for here. You would all be here, and then I believe Stark County Zoning Department will be here as well, and I anticipate that there will also be Stark County Commissioners here. So we hope to have a kind of a roundtable discussion as to what that's going to be and what we're going to end up ultimately, hopefully, coming to an agreement with. City staff will also be present, and I'm assuming also county staff, Mr. Josephson, and anyone else that the county may bring to that meeting.
Okay. So this will be noticed in the normal way, the newspaper, and like we normally notice online, but just for everybody's information, that meeting will be held October 6, 2021 in this room at 7:10 a.m. So anybody who would like to attend, I would imagine there will be an open comment session from the public at that time too.
Correct.
So, all right. Commissioner?
One clarification just on that.
Yes.
7:10, we're advertising at 7:10. We do have 2 action items. There's a special use permit and a plat, a final plat that'll be on there. So the discussion on the ETZ won't start right at 7:10, but as close to after that as we possibly.
Clarification, the meeting starts at 7:10, but the discussion might not start for 10, 15 minutes later, so. Okay. Anybody have anything else? All right, if there's nothing else, then I think that we've gotten through our agenda for this morning. I would look for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.